Welcome to Unit 8. And in Unit 8 you are going to focus on the Action Research Project Stage 3 Planning. And so the introduction gives some background to that. In Stage 3, the researcher begins the planning process that will define and specify the plan, the intervention for the project. So that's the focus here. The readings in the multimedia reach Stage 3, the Action Research Paradigm Protocol Multimedia piece. You've referred to that many times, so you'll go back to it. And you look at Action Research Text Chapter 6, Action Plans Sustainable Solutions 166 to 186, and you're going to use this in the assignments and the discussions in this unit. Pay particular attention to the planning process, the setting of priorities, the way in which actions are reviewed, and again, you're going to look at the Harlem Children's Zone, driving performance with measured evaluation. Do some analysis of this. So look back at that and read at least twice page 119 of Booth, Cullum, and Williams' text, The Craft of Research. Going to focus a bit on how to write an argument in the classical format today. So again, the Action Research Paradigm Protocol, and then the journal. And the assignment is going to ask you to write a paper critically examining the planning process of the HCZ case study. And in your paper, complete the following. And again, I've created a template that has all of that. You are going to begin by letting the reader know exactly what you're going to do. Your introduction will state the paper. You're going to critically analyze the planning process of the HCZ. Give a brief summary of the project, a couple sentences, give some context, and then define the ARPP model and discuss the characteristics of action research as described by your action research text. And then provide a rationale for using that as a framework for the analysis that you're going to do of the HCZ. And the rubric criterion is right here. Section 2, where you're going to do the analysis of the study, and using the framework discussion section 1, these principles analyze the planning process of the Harlem Children's Zone case study. And you want to focus your analysis on the questions derived from Stage 3 of the ARP multimedia piece from box 6.1 on page 185 of your action research text, which is right here. Notice the process. And so these are the frameworks for helping you do the analysis. Analysis is more than summary. That's why you're establishing that framework where you're going to analyze the planning process based on these principles up here. And again, there are two rubric criterion there. The criteria apply the planning question about feasibility, personnel scope, derived from the literature, the analysis of the case, and apply improvement strategies from the literature to the analysis of the case. And notice how that matches up to the different points on this area right here. So that's an important point for reference. And then finally, Section 3, consider ways in which being a cooperative project between local government and education affected the planning process. And go back to the research study itself, because the rubric criterion will be to analyze the effect of cause because it's collaborative. And the conclusion is a kind of a tying together of all of this. Now, the discussions, the first one focuses on this idea of the craft of research, the principle of a good argument. Argument in the classic sense of analysis and making your point clear. Now, it talks about avoiding I think, I feel, or I believe, and those are great points. If you're speaking about your own research, first person is fine. For example, this asks you to go back and look at the case analysis you completed in the first assignment, Unit 1. It's asking you to look back a bit. So you don't want to say, this learner's first assignment. In my first assignment, I did this, is fine. But you want to avoid, in this paper, I am going to, or I think, I feel, I believe. And so that critical analysis, you're going to critique your analysis and post that. The next one, back to looking for best practice in action research. For Study 2, you go up to Study 2, and it tells you that you should go back to the library, click on Action Research Library Guide, and search for best practice of action research. Some guidelines you'll share with everybody. Lots going on again this week. I look forward to what you come up with.